Namaste, angels. This is the general weekly reading for the period of today, June 13th, through Saturday to come, June 19th or Juneteenth. Start with the dice. Spirit says 29, so spiritual partnership of some sort. No. And stay in bed. I am hoping that this reading will be not that long and or easy to get up in any case, because it's already almost 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. With the angel and animal tarots, I've broken another nail, as you can see. We are beginning with Major Arcana card 11, Strength, which represents the sign of Leo most directly. I've been talking about Leo. I've been talking about fire signs a lot in general. We've seen a lot of fire signs and fire energy in the cards the past couple of weeks. Of course, Mars did just enter Leo 2 days ago. Mars, the ruler of the sign of Aries, as well as Scorpio in part. And so I think that that's probably, at least in part, why this is showing up here today. True strength is displayed through kindness, forgiveness, and compassion. You have tremendous personal power and courage. So we may have an opportunity to forgive somebody, to seek forgiveness from somebody, or to show somebody some sort of empathy or compassion. And that may be a test for us, to see if we can pass it, or as a test to our, and a testament to our strength. Because if you can get through it, if you're able to do it, this is what the card is saying. That is representative of true strength. The next card is leadership, which is interesting because, like I said, I was just talking about Mars, which is like the leader planet. It represents that sort of male, very masculine energy. It is the masculine or male planet of love, for one thing. It's a planet of action and aggression, and certainly of leadership. The Emperor in the tarot represents the planet Mars, and of course that is also a card that is representative of leadership. So when I look at this card and I see the orange and I see the red, I see the fire, and then I also see Mars and I see that energy of Aries perhaps, and then again maybe Scorpio as well. And it's what's also interesting here is that it's also upright right behind it is pride. And we have more of these very fiery colors showing up in the middle of the Merkaba that is on the Pride card as well. And then together, these still would make a 19. 8 and 1 is 9. And, of course, 9 added to anything is itself. So 19 is a card of father. So of the masculine energy too, of, emperor perhaps. Right behind it, in keeping with perhaps the energy of leadership, because in terms of like life path, the leaders are represented by the number 1, or those like myself, I'm a 19/10/1 life path. So I'm a 1 life path, basically. But I start out as a 19. My birthday, which is today, actually, 6/13. And then if you add the year, too, it's 9. 6/13, 1971 equals 6/13 by itself, or 19, which can be reduced. It's the only number that can be reduced to another double-digit number first, which is 10. And then it becomes a 1. We have another 10 here, domestic harmony. So this may be where we see these other themes coming up and playing out. Be careful of maybe a toxic relationship, maybe a narcissistic, somebody that has combined leadership and pride, maybe be exhibiting narcissism. They could be showing up somewhere in your environment, in your sphere, is what I see as it relates to all this green. It gives like your surroundings. We have more of the fiery red and orange showing up in the middle. Orange also representative of the sacral chakra. So this could be getting involved in relationships and intimacy and issues coming up there as it relates to domestic harmony. I didn't notice before, but in the domestic harmony card, we have the green. We have that gives me the feel of surroundings and environment also showing up. But then also upright and it's the last card that's upright in this area, is healing. So perhaps through moderation, balance, temperance, which is the next card that we're going to talk about. It is Major Arcana card 14. This is card number 14. Both of these cards are about moderation, at least for one thing. Temperance, more fire, also represents the sign of Sagittarius. So perhaps through moderation and balance, as opposed to, you know, this sort of very aggressive, maybe an egotistical and perhaps narcissistic or sociopathic kind of behavior, will be how you find the healing with the double sixes. Six is representative of love. Probably talk about that more in a minute, since again today is 6/13, one of the feast days of Mary, also represented by the number 6 for love. All right, so moving on to the Rider-Waite deck. Again, we'll begin with Major Arcana card Temperance. It does represent the sign of Sagittarius in the tarot. It is about balance and moderation, as well as negotiations, and maybe a need to show somebody, again, some compassion, some empathy, or show a situation, if not a person, some compassion and empathy, and be willing to forgive, be willing to say, you know, to take some, to leave some, to come to some sort of agreement. Negotiations, compromises, definitely healing. It's very healing energy, working through situations. Also where we've had a problem where it's really non-existing problem, where we thought we had a problem because of our differences, realizing that we don't really have a problem because of our differences, and making a conscious choice to set those aside. So, you know, I'm white, you're black, and maybe we used to get hung up on it, and now we realize it doesn't matter. You know, I'm Muslim, you're a Christian. We used to get hung up on it. We realize it doesn't matter. I'm older than you, I'm younger than you, or vice versa. We realize it doesn't matter. All those things coming with temperance. Again, it's also a very healing energy. Anytime you see like the water, you know, and the pouring of the water, it's sort of representative of healing and things being washed away and cleansed, right? We do have this angel standing in the pool of water. So for me, this card also representative of the sign of Aquarius all the time, because I see a water bearer on the front of the card. Also upright is the 7 of Wands. So this is about defending your beliefs and decisions. Again, maybe we were hung up before, perhaps because other people were hung up. Maybe people in our environment, right, in our sphere, were hung up on the fact that we are of different races or different creeds or different cultures or different religions or whatever it is, different belief systems. And so we were allowing society to sort of mold us and bend us, and we weren't making decisions for ourselves. And this says not to do that. This says to, especially if we're willing to make a compromise and to forgive and forget and work things through and to heal, and we've made a new decision that it doesn't matter, those things don't matter, right? They're just like constructs that are obstructing us. We decide they don't matter. Then this guides us to, you know, stick to that decision and not cave to the pressures of our family, our friends, society's beliefs, and all that kind of stuff. And that's the last upright card there. So now I'll do a little shuffling in front of you. So as I mentioned, today is 6/13. It is the second of 6. I also mentioned 6 represents Mary. The second of 6 celebrations of the feast day of Our Lady of Fatima. When Mary first appeared and that day was also a 6/13 or 19, because like I said, I was born 6/13, 1971. The first feast day of Our Lady of Fatima, the first apparition, was May 13th, and then the first time that she made herself visible to not just the 3 kids, but to all of the villagers who were willing to show up was 6/13, 1917. So it's like my birthday down to the year, just with those numbers transposed, but it's still 61399. So this is sort of like an anniversary, you know, right down to like the year of that event. So that's special. It's also 6/13 in general, also the feast day of Saint Anthony. He has a lot of fans and followers. It is for 5%ers. This is the anniversary of the death also of Clarence 13X. I've told the story before that he was killed basically 2 years to the day and time that I was born, 2 years prior, in the same exact place. So I was born in Harlem Hospital, which is located on 135th Street and Lenox Avenue in Harlem, New York, from 135th Street to 137th Street along Lenox Avenue. Clarence 13X was killed on 135th Street and Lenox Avenue. So the same place. Same street, same block. At like 10:30 in the morning. That's when I was born. What else I want to tell you about him? He started the 5% nation, or the nation of gods and earths, and the system of the supreme mathematics and the supreme alphabet, and is known as, Father, God, Allah, to many people around the world for that reason. And as I mentioned, the world, how he's known around the world, followed around the world by many people, I land on the world as our overall energy from these two decks for this week. Major Arcana card 21, so it's more fire, this card. I have never attributed to any one particular sign, fire sign or anything like that, but it does feel like fire to me, and does tend to, like I mentioned that, I say it's a fire card, and then it often shows up where it's clear to everybody else in my reading that it's also fire too that's coming through. Of course, as a 3, it could have something to do with some sort of third party. It can also have to do with co-creation and abundance, and the need for patience for something to play out completely. But the world is about a cycle coming to an end. It's often a job, that's ending, a relationship, a living condition, some sort of a circumstance. So we move, or something changes about the dynamic of our family, or we get laid off, or something from our job goes out of business, different things like that. So it's like an ending to bring you into something better. What follows is always better, but again, it's a 3, and sometimes it requires some patience for that next piece to play out completely. A job well done, joy, contentment, and gratitude in the path toward enlightenment. Very, very positive, because also immediately behind it, also upright, we have Major Arcana card 17, the Star, which represents the sign of Aquarius, which is about prayers being answered, wishes being granted, dreams coming true, goals being reached, right? Things being accomplished. And so this could be something, whatever's coming to an end, we could have prayed for this ending. Like, please, God, I just want to get out of this job, and I want a better job. We didn't say how we wanted to get out the job, right? So maybe God is like, okay, well, the way you're going to get out of the job is the job's going to close down. And so the job's going to come to an end, and then I'm going to lead you to a new job. That could be a way that our prayers are being answered. Or again, some goal that we wanted to accomplish. Maybe there were several steps to it, and we're seeing the end. There's like a tangible, within our reach end, and it's something we prayed for, and now it's happening. 7 of Pentacles, the planning, resources, and effort that you've invested in your dream. Again, this can be about dreams. And this is saying it's paying off. Will reap great rewards. So it's like confirmation or reconfirmation that something is paying off for us. We're successfully manifesting the things that we're trying to. In the meantime, have patience. Like I said, it's going to require some patience. And meditate on your next steps. So just because we have to have patience doesn't mean we can't be looking forward and planning ahead as to what's to come. So now to shuffle this deck in front of you a little bit. I'm trying to think, is there anything else I wanted to talk to you guys about. Can't really think of anything. I'm sorry. I've mentioned my birthday, and not that I want to go on talking about me, but I've shared this with you guys, who've been watching my channel since the beginning, but maybe new people don't know. So I've always made the claim, very proudly made the claim, that I was sent here to do this, to be among the leaders. Again, I'm a life path 1 of the people on this particular spiritual journey of what began for me as twin flame, but then I sort of disassociated from the label. I'm not a fan of labels in general, and I didn't like where the label twin flames was going. So sort of similar to how I feel about the label of Christian. I used to be one of those too, and wanted to get away from that because of what the name denotes, right? The connotations it makes. Oh, spiritual partnership. We saw spiritual partnership in the beginning. So yes, this is 29 and this is 27. They both can be spiritual partnership. This is spiritual partnership because 2s are often about partnership, and 9s are about spirituality and humanitarianism and getting involved in things like this, like spiritual practice and stuff. So it's 29 together. It's about 2 people getting involved in doing it. Similarly, again, 2 is about partnership. 7s are about God. So this is also a different way of numerically saying spiritual partnership. Oh, so I was talking about how I've always, stated that, and then I've tried to give, circumstantial as they may be, pieces of evidence as to prove it. And so for me, this is just another one, I guess. This story I've told. So I just told you I was born on the same day as Our Lady of Fatima and as Clarence 13X, and the day that he was murdered. Again, same time, same place that he was murdered, 2 years to the day. In addition to that, at the time, my family was living at 1036 Manor Avenue in the Bronx when I was born. A manor, if you look up the dictionary meaning, one of the meanings is pretty specific to New York and the Dutch, having to do with with royals. And 1036 is another 613 or 19. It's transposed. It's the 136. Same thing as 613. It's still 19. So that's a coincidence there. I personally don't believe in coincidences. That's why I say it's like circumstantial evidence to some and hard evidence to others. Our overall energy here is the 9 of Wands. Immediately behind that, we have the Knight of Swords, followed by the 10 of Swords, the 3 of Pentacles, lastly, upright. So the 9 of Wands is about feeling sort of defeated, but the universe telling you you're not defeated, you're not down, or you may be down, but you're not out, and you got some fight left in you, and the universe wanting you to continue to protect yourself, defend yourself, and fight back if necessary. Then we have the Knight of Swords, which is a very positive card when he's upright like this. In love, believe it or not, even though it's swords, this can be about being swept off your feet. This is about information that you're waiting for coming in your favor, like you very, very likely hearing what you want, whatever the news is, it's what you wanted to hear. So it's the positive version. You got the job, whatever the case is. It's also about potentially communication coming in and things just moving very, very quickly. it means good things for transportation and stuff that might have been stuck or might be stuck otherwise because of Mercury retrograde. Mercury currently located in Gemini, which it rules in retrograde, not going direct until the 22nd. So as soon as the day after Gemini season ends, last day of Gemini season is the 21st. The 22nd is when Mercury finally decides to go back direct. The Knight of Swords is a Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius, or someone likened to those traits or attributes. Now, there may have been some betrayal, loss, separation, hardship, some sort of hurt or something that maybe the Knight of Swords is overcoming, has overcome, is sort of feeling like like that wore me out and I can't take anymore. I don't have it in me. I can't do it. And then again, the universe is saying, no, you can. And it may be having something to do, again, with work. I don't know why I keep bringing up work, but the Three of Pentacles is very possibly something having to do with work. It is about abundance that is earned. So like if you can be coming into abundance, can be coming into money, but it's likely money that you've earned through some sort of work, some sort of labor. If it is about something romantic, maybe again, you getting swept off your feet, it's possibly by somebody with whom you work or have worked, or that you met through your work, in your line of work. So they may not work at the same place as you, but let's say you're a cop and somebody comes in to make a report and you guys fall in love. I don't know where cop came from, but yeah, that kind of thing. You don't have to know each other. You're a flight attendant, somebody sits down in your chair, and you serve them, and you fall in love. So through your work, not necessarily at the same job. And the next card is in reverse, but it's another world, just so we're aware. I'm going to get the stands now. Yeah, so I was telling you about my birthday. So my mother actually originally went to the hospital on the 11th of June, not the 13th, because she was bleeding. And then she was sent home and returned in time for her to be at the hospital in labor, refusing to go home for 22 hours, 22, 4, 13, 11, 11. And then I was born, obviously, on the 13th or 4 or 11, 11 at 10:30 in the morning, 13 or 4 or 11, 11. So I was talking about the 613 for the Manor Avenue and the Dutch. Reminds me now, New York is also the 11th, just as a bit of trivia, a state in the Union. All right, so the card that will most directly represent us this week is the Emperor. I talked a lot about the Emperor at the beginning, right? Here he is as reconfirmation. Surrounding energy, close friends, co-workers, or something going on at the job, family members, maybe experiencing some sort of tower. Work and finance for us. Very good. Knight of Wands. Wands is really positive energy for work. Love and relationship. Two of Swords in reverse. That may be where you need to, again, do the forgiveness or show some empathy or follow your own decisions and maintain your decision, defend your decision and stuff. May come up with that Two of Swords in reverse. Physical health. Page of Wands, reverse. And spiritual health. King of Pentacles, reverse. We've been seeing a lot of pentacles in this placement, the spiritual placement. And it's like people are trying to find themselves. But we'll talk more about that in a second. Let me just make sure everything is in frame for you guys. I think that looks pretty good. I hope you guys can see everything because it does look like it's kind of over to the right. It could be centered better. So anyway, what was I up to? Oh, so my mother went to the hospital. She was in labor for 22 hours. Then had me on the 13th. And then I had no name for 11 days, or for 10 days I had no name. I got my name on the 11th day, which is the same day as the feast of Saint John the Baptist. What's also interesting is that my mother's middle name is Elizabeth, John's mother's name was Elizabeth, and my mother's name is essentially John. Her first name is Juanita. That is John. Or yeah, female John in Spanish. So those are all my pieces of trivia and coincidences that link me to spiritual journey and 11s and all that kind of stuff. All right, so getting back to our cards, we're going to start with the Nine of Wands, which is our overall energy. And again, like overall, the majority of the Wands cards tend to be positive, but it's like as you move higher in the suit, they get a little bit more complex, and there could be some difficulty that is indicated by the card. And the Nine of Wands is where some people will probably say that begins. It can be about anxiety and worry, again, because you're just feeling sort of worn out, tired, again, maybe downtrodden, beaten, burdened, all those kind of things. And it's best to, like first take a deep breath and calm down and sort of relieve yourself of some of these pressures, and avoid letting the things that you're worried about overwhelm you, and then just taking one step at a time. But it is the universe telling you that there's no need for that kind of worry because you've got this, basically. So moving on to the Emperor, which is the card that most directly represent us this week. Again, it does also represent in the tarot the planet Mars, and therefore the signs of Aries and Scorpio. We may be that Aries or Scorpio, or there may be one that is very significant to us, in a first person kind of way this week. That person, if it's not us, may be some sort of authority, our boss, our father, somebody we look up to and or respect, like a father figure, or some sort of authority, or government agency, or like large corporation that has maybe some sort of dominion over us and or the things that we do, and something that we do, we need them for some sort of governance, or they have some sort of governance over us. If it does represent us, as I mentioned in the beginning, when we started with the numerology deck, we should avoid any sort of narcissism, or like allowing the fact that we are in a leadership role or position to make our heads too big, and things like pride and ego and all that kind of stuff. Avoid combinations and try to seek balance, maybe in the way that we're even leading other people, and considering other people that are maybe perhaps subordinate to us in some sort of way. Okay. At the same time, we are probably more assertive and confident, and maybe have a greater sense of self-control or discipline, and maybe even love, that leads to the control and discipline. And these are things that came up a lot in the reading that I just did for the Gemini new moon and solar eclipse. So that's a positive thing. This could also be about us actually being like someone else's father. It could, like I said, it could be about our father or father figure, but it can be about us as a father too. Often this card for me is representative of a widower, or a married man, or a man with children, or a man that has lived a little, and he's of a certain age, as they say, maybe like middle age, and maybe he does have a family or not, but he's been successful already, and he's sort of worldly. It can be representative of that. Now, again, in our surrounding energy, we have the Tower, and so somebody close to us could be going through something, or we could be like very closely adjacent to something. Or like I said, this card could be representative of something going down on the job, for example, and like I talked about, maybe the job closing, or people getting laid off, or something like that. As an example, with the cards that we looked at in the beginning of the reading when I was shuffling the cards. And so this could be representative of something like that as well. Like, maybe because literally there's a fire, in the building. And so the building has to close down temporarily or permanently or whatever. In the meantime, people get laid off because they cannot work there. That kind of thing could be what's happening when this card shows up in this way. The more traditional tarot meaning, though, would be that, like, generally it's likely that some people and or situations that you've counted on, which work could be one of them. I keep talking about work, so that may be a very real thing for a lot of the people that watch. That could be the primary cause of some of these cards, including the Tower, coming up, because it keeps coming up in my mouth. But again, it doesn't have to be something or someone that we've counted on or relied on, like being there. We expected them to be there. We expected this thing to be there for us. May not be any longer, or it may not be there in the same way any longer. Now, this doesn't have to be like a completely horrible situation. Of course, changes in life, the change of dynamics, I talked about that as a possibility with the World card too. These things are all part of life and the cycle, and trying to prevent things from happening is like trying to go against the current, and actually keeps us back. It stalls our progress. It's like not allowing for example, like the death energy of death, transition and transformation. We're trying to fight it. All we do is keep ourselves like in a rut, and sometimes in a negative cycle and stuff like that. So you're decided to go with the flow. But specifically for things like work, it can be about like weird arguments and stuff with people at your job. In love, it doesn't have to be about the end of a relationship, a breakup, but it's certainly at least some sort of turmoil. Finances, definitely not the time to be risky. Health, you got to pay attention to what you're doing. So it could be if it's about somebody close to you, maybe somebody close to you needs to pay attention to what they're doing, like what their nerves and their blood pressure, and eating too much, eating not enough, exercising too much, not exercising enough, looking for balance, moderation, are things that are coming up for me with this card. Could be something that maybe you can help somebody that is close to you to go through or to deal with. Moving on to the Knight of Wands and work, you could be asked to travel in connection to your job somehow. This can be super, super positive for you and have some really enjoyable moments while you're there. And if there's work news that you're waiting on, maybe you applied for a job, you're waiting to hear, you're wondering if there's going to be a promotion or if you're going to get called back to work, if you've already been unemployed and laid off, maybe people are coming back to work now, or the company that you work for was closed because of COVID or some other reason, and now it's reopening and you're going, whatever. If you're expecting some sort of work news, it's good when this card shows up in this position upright. If you're waiting on the results of an interview, you likely will hear that you got the job. It's just positive energy. In terms of finances specifically, not necessarily connected to work, money should be flowing more easily this week with this card showing up, and things with your finances should be going well. And even if that is the case, though, we want to be sure to at least save a little. And this came up in the Gemini new moon reading that I did, and solar eclipse reading that I did as well, which covers a longer period, not just a week. It said money was going to be coming in, but that we would need to plan, at least for some, in a more long-term way, like figure out how you're going to go about spending and or saving parts of this money, rather than just like running through it. So this card, even though it's positive, does guide us to cut expenses when we can, also. Moving on to the Two of Swords in reverse for love. It says that this is a time to be like cautious when it comes to love and relationships, and sort of deliberate. Like you may be tempted to sort of move things forward with a partner or a would-be partner, but this is not the time. And I mean, this is what the tarot says. I kind of feel like it's never the time to do that, to force somebody along in love, or to rush someone. But the card like sort of reinforces that certainly this week it's not good. If you're looking for love, it guides us to get out there again, mingle, as they say, if you're single. And it's very possible that you're going to meet somebody that's like a good match for you, but it may take some time, may require some patience before the actual love relationship with them develops. And we got to be patient. And I meant to mention that when the Three of Pentacles came up before too, because that can be what that means. That you meet somebody, again, often connected to your work, but whether they're connected to your work or not, it tends to require patience before it develops into an actual love relationship, even though there is sort of mutual interest in the least. Moving on to physical health. The Page of Wands. Wands are about action. Again, like Mars is about action, action and aggression. And so the Page of Wands in reverse for health is saying to us that we may need to show some sort of or action or do some sort of, it's something that we need to do toward improving our health. But it also, and maybe more importantly, says that there are people, close to us that are ready, willing, and able, as they say, to like help us in terms of our health. And these might be medical professionals, or just people that we find, inspiring, maybe in terms of their spiritual nature and things that they're into, like meditation and yoga, and how we can get into that. Or maybe like an exercise buddy, or coach or something like that. And so it guides us to not to try to do everything on our own, to go ahead and make use of this support and help that's around us. It also shows us that we'll get farther being open to sort of this help and these influences of other people's expertise and guidance. Also, we'll do better than if we try to go on some sort of solo crusade with regard to our health. And last but not least, spiritual health, we have again the King of Pentacles in reverse. This is another potential character that I mentioned that the Page and the Page of Wands and the Knight of Wands were both characters. Also, I don't think I did. They are also perhaps an Aries, like the Emperor, Leo, or Sagittarius, or maybe even a Scorpio, or someone likened to those traits or attributes, as is the King of Pentacles, a Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn, or someone likened to those traits or attributes. Now, when the King of Pentacles is in reverse with regard to spirituality, it means that we may have been placing like too much emphasis on our like work and finances and financial security. I mean, that's very King of Pentacles, right? To do that kind of stuff. And not to say that that's a negative thing. It's obviously, it should go without saying that it's not, of course, to be able to provide for your family and to be secure and stable and all those things. Those are wonderful traits, wonderful attributes. I may be biased because I do like earth signs. But, even with that, moderation, right, is what we need. We need balance and moderation. Too much of anything is not good. Even too much water, right? People say, well, we need water. Our bodies are made mostly of water, and if we don't have water, we will die. However, you can also drown from too much water. They call it a dry drowning. Anyway, if you're not in water, you can drown, obviously, if you're in the pool of water. But I mean, like, even from drinking too much water, you can drown. That's called a dry drowning. I say all that to say, even too much work, emphasis on work and stability and security and money can be negative, or can be, not optimal for you. And so this is paying all those things mind to the detriment of maybe your spiritual health, like neglecting your spiritual health because of your focus being so strong on this other area. And so you could benefit from exploring some different like spiritual practices, traditions, understandings, and opening maybe your mind up, or it will be opened up as a result of you doing that. Open your mind up to new experiences and ideologies perhaps, and new ways of doing things. So now I'm going to go around and clarify these with the numerology deck. Again, we have an overall energy of spiritual partnership. That can be, again, the person that you're working with on your health. That can be somebody that's working with you in this area here on, opening your eyes to some new practices. That can be in your love life. Maybe you're focused on somebody or you want to chase them. Maybe you have that chaser runner dynamic because you are a twin flame. You are in a divine union, and so you're at that phase of it. Or maybe the spiritual partnership is affecting you here, wherever it is. It can be a business partnership, something like that. So that's our overall energy, and we're just going to go around to the card that will most directly represent us. Joining the Emperor from the numerology deck this week is music, and it is another one of these fiery, orange cards, orange and yellow. It looks like the same color scheme actually as this Emperor card from the Rider-Waite deck. And so you could be getting some sort of messages through music, or maybe you will be sending messages through music. Maybe there's somebody who's an actual musician who finds themselves in this position. Maybe it's a position of leadership in the music industry. Is another possibility with this, or you taking like the literal lead singer, lead in a band or something, could be going on this week as well. And I'm also getting something that could be like metaphoric, maybe having to, since I said like the Emperor can have to do with a large like government agency or corporation. It doesn't have to be that. Like whatever the situation is, I'm getting metaphorically. It can be like about facing the music. That phrase. So dealing with something, but because you're the Emperor, you have this Emperor energy. Like you're more confident this week and you're more assertive. So it'd be easier for you to face the music this week and to deal with something head on. That could be what it means for you. So moving on to the surrounding energy again, that more likely than having to do with us has to do with our close friends and our family members or co-workers or something going on at our job or something like that. We have parenting, and since it's connected to the tower, maybe if somebody is having some sort of difficulties with parenting, this week they're dealing with something. Again, doesn't necessarily represent the end of the world just because it is the tower. Somebody could find out that they are pregnant, or that they've gotten someone pregnant, and that may be sort of an earth-shattering revelation for them. Or, God forbid, I did pull the White Buffalo Calf Woman in the Gemini New Moon reading, and how this can have to do with somebody, or the Emperor rather, can have to do with somebody that you're used to having around. Again, not being there necessarily, or a situation changing. Yeah, the tower. God forbid. Or maybe somebody's just not well this week, so you don't have them, you don't have their support, you don't have them around. Your parents is what I'm trying to get to. And I don't wish anything bad on anyone or their parents, but can be about being used to having them around, but not this week. And maybe perhaps particularly a father or father figure. Moving on to work and finance, we have karmic completion. So again, maybe you were dealing with a karmic period of joblessness, and now this is a week when you get a job, when you find out something, or you have a job where you're supposed to travel and you haven't been because of COVID or whatever. That's coming to an end. Something with regard to the job coming to an end, but again, the Knight of Wands is a super positive card as it relates to the job. Specific to finances, maybe it could be the period of being broke or having difficulty with finances that's coming to an end. That's the karmic completion on that. And again, the Knight of Wands is an indication that your finances are picking up, right? They're on the uptick, upward swing, as they say. Love and relationship from this deck. We have spirituality. So again, I said this could be about a spiritually based relationship, a spiritual partnership, maybe even because can be about the Two of Wands in reverse, can be about pushing too hard, and maybe rushing someone and you being warned against doing that, maybe there is something going on with a spiritually based relationship and like a runner-chaser dynamic, which would be indicative of a twin flame union or connection. Moving on to health, physical health, we have individuality, and we have 11, and we have another orange and reddish, sort of very fiery card. Joining the Page of Wands, which is also fiery, representative of the signs of Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, most directly, and fire sign. And so, again, I talked about you taking sort of action for yourself, can definitely be what this is about. And also you stepping up and allowing others to help you. So this would require you to take action as well, right? You got to be the one to say, yes, please do help me. That's an action. And last but not least, spiritual health. Interesting. Physical activity. But they can go hand in hand. I'm just saying it's interesting that these are not like a little bit more reverse, but they don't have to be, because physical activity very much tied to something like the King of Pentacles in reverse as it relates to spirituality. I just talked about it being about, you needing to get out there and try some new spiritual practices. So that can be things like meditation, which would also be a physical activity. Yoga, also a physical activity, and just even going around to things and maybe hearing seminars and hearing people speak, and all of that is a physical activity, and that you taking like your situation into your own hands, and you making the move to, I don't want to say rectify your spiritual health situation, but to make changes in your spiritual life, or to create a spiritual life for yourself where one didn't exist. So I'll go around one more time, and this time with the angel and animal tarots, beginning again with the card that most directly represents us, and this time it is the Page of Cups. He is romantic, flirtatious, introspective, and enchanting. A deeply emotional and probably romantic experience will sweep you off your feet. Things can move very quickly during such whirlwind encounters. So stay balanced and make decisions with both your heart and your intellect. The Page of Cups is a Cancer, Scorpio, which is again connected to Mars, or Pisces, or someone likened to those traits or attributes. So for some of us, this can have to do with, again, somebody that is in our life, somebody that is returning to our life, somebody with whom we've had a love connection, somebody with whom we'd like to have a love connection. Can definitely be about exes. Mercury retrograde tends to bring exes around, and maybe it is, or a married man or a divorcee or a widower that's also involved in this situation. Or somebody wants to take a leadership role and be the aggressor, be the assertive one, be the confident one to make a move this week. We have the ability, the wherewithal to do that. Surrounding energy, joining parenting and the Tower, we have the Nine of Cups. So we talked about prayers being answered, wishes being granted, dreams coming true. That may be why you're towered. Somebody that didn't think they could get pregnant, perhaps like John the Baptist's mother, Elizabeth, right? She didn't think she could get pregnant, and then here she was pregnant, and after menopause, basically. It can be something like that. I thought I couldn't get pregnant. I thought I couldn't get anybody pregnant or whatever. And, here we are successful. This is what we've wanted. We've wanted to be parents. Now is the time when your dreams come true. Don't worry about how this will happen. Just give gratitude to God for all that you have and all that's still to come. It can also be something else that you prayed for. It can be tied to pets as well. A lot of people, for these, in the things that I've been seeing over the past few weeks, for some, it's tied to fur babies as opposed to regular babies or children. Work and finance, we have the Chariot. So this too is about travel. Again, somebody could be traveling for a job, maybe relocating for work. This is about movement, moving. It's also about victory and success. So it could be about promotion, maybe being put in a leadership role at your job. You can successfully balance various or opposing energies at once through determination and focus. You've earned the rewards and recognition that you are receiving. Something also perhaps with involving a truck driver I just saw. Again, this was positive energy. The Knight of Wands upright, and the Chariot is also positive. But I just saw something potentially having to do with a truck driver. Maybe somebody was waiting to get their CDL license or to get back on the road. Perhaps something having to do with, I don't know, union or supplies being down and things being shortages, and so you haven't been working the same number of hours as you're used to, or I'm not sure, but I just saw a truck driver. Love and relationship. I had to regroup. I'm like, what was I talking about? Love and relationship. We have the Six of Pentacles, gifts of money, time, or effort, new career opportunities, and receiving a loan or paying off debts. Six of Pentacles is about unconditional love. And so, again, you can tie it to that dynamic of the not pushing too hard. Unconditional means even it means what it sounds like. It means without condition. So even like without the condition of you loving me back, or you showing me back, or you being as interested as I am in as interested in me as I am in you. You may not be. And unconditional means that's okay too. And so once we achieve that is when we stop the runner chaser dynamic, because once we get that part of it. Six of Pentacles also about equity and equality and balance in relationships, reciprocity. You do for me, I do for you. The ability to both give and receive. We got to be able to do both. Equally and in balance, and it's about all those things. Physical health. Womp womp. Five of Pentacles. Focusing upon the negative or worrying about money or your career or anything for that matter, anything that you're dealing with can block your progress, right? Thinking negatively about anything can block your progress in that area. Because your trust and faith are at a low point right now, it's not the best time. It says here to start your own business or to become self-employed. But again, anything that you're trying to manifest, if you're thinking about negativity or negative things instead of positivity, then it may not work out. The Five of Pentacles for me is a card that is about worry about lack. So worrying that you don't have enough. Maybe worrying that you don't have people around you, or that you don't have help around you. Worrying that you're not going to be successful going it alone. Could be or worrying that you are going to trust somebody and they're going to let you down. The idea is to let go of that kind of whatever the worry is about, is to let go of it. And again, to think positively, and then to seek help of people who know better around you, and take advantage of the wisdom and expertise surrounding you, whether that's your friends, again, or some sort of coach or something, or an actual medical professional. And last but not least, it is joining the King of Pentacles. We have the Nine of Pentacles for the spiritual health. Your success has brought you financial security and the reward of much deserved time off to enjoy your own company. You may suddenly have a brilliant idea for a business or self-employment opportunity that will be very successful. So the Nine of Pentacles is also, in my opinion, a very positive card with regard to spirituality. It tends to mean that when it shows up that you're likely feeling like a good deal of like spiritual peace and happiness. Your self-esteem may be higher than it normally is, or possibly than it's ever even been. That could also be tied to the Emperor. That is the card that is most directly representing us this week. And of course, all of that is a very good thing. But you're now in a position, to seek mentors and, to share spiritual insights with other people. And again, so maybe delve into some of these practices that you're probably been interested in for a while. You just never put any energy into because you prioritized it after, like monetary success, which again is okay. No judgment. You just chose that. We all make choices. I'm going to do some advice for the masculine and feminine, and then I'm going to end the reading for those who just wanted to see the reading, and continue for those who wanted to also hear from me what I have to say about what's going on this week with other stuff, like the planetary calendar and all of that. So, for the masculine, from the Animal Tarot, you have the Four of Cups. Your responsibilities may distract you from all the gifts that God is presenting to you. Be open to investigating opportunities that come your way. So don't brush anything off this week. Look into stuff, especially if it's a chance for you to delve into something. Feminine, we may be the one who's doing or wanting to do the pushing in terms of relationship this week. We have our own Two of Swords, and it says procrastination and worrying about what others will think is blocking you from making a decision. If you're torn between your own desires and someone else's, follow your inner guidance. Masculine, you've got a second Five of Pentacles. So this may more physical health, and the Five of Pentacles that joined it may more so, affect masculine. Fears surrounding money. The wisdom to accept help from others. Okay, so that's the more positive meaning of the card. The wisdom to accept help from others. And what did I say that this was about? The need to accept help from others. Also uncertain self-employment, and that could definitely affect one's health. But then if you're feeling that, if you're worried about unemployment or successful employment, then look to this section where it says that that's going to be good this week. For the feminine, Eight of Cups, a desire to move on, the search for something more meaningful, spiritual and emotional growth. So that's going to be talking to perhaps this section over here. Maybe more feminine will be experiencing this energy than masculine. From the numerology deck for the masculine, we have happy ending. So all's well that ends well, although we may have to deal with some stuff this week. And for the feminine, change. Some sort of change is coming. And like I said, change is inevitable. We don't always like it. It's not always the easiest thing. That may be tied to the Tower, but we have to allow for it to happen. That'll be the end of the cards. Please do like, share, subscribe, comment. I do appreciate it, and maybe one day we'll get the algorithm to actually work for us, because I almost never have any dislikes. If I do, it's one. I don't know, but my channel remains shadow banned nonetheless, even though I just get likes. So that was me turning on my computer, if anybody's wondering. And I did so that I can look into what's going on this week. So beginning with the Christian calendar, we have, as I mentioned a moment ago, the Feast of St. John the Baptist. And so for a little bit more about that, I went where? www.catholic.org. Must have been the first thing that came up. So some facts about this. The feast day, of course, is the 24th of June, which is 6/6. And St. John the Baptist is the patron saint of Jordan, Puerto Rico. Today's Puerto Rico Day in New York. We have the Puerto Rican Day Parade normally, but I don't think it in Spanish Harlem. So I mentioned Harlem earlier too. All these things may be important to somebody. I don't think we had the parade, the actual parade this year. I'm not positive, but I didn't hear anything about it. And we probably didn't because New York is not fully reopening until July 1st. In any case, it was again the Puerto Rico Day, and St. John the Baptist is a patron saint of Puerto Rico. Also, the Knights of Hospitaller of Jerusalem. Also, French Canada, Newfoundland, Cesena, Florence, Genoa, Monza, Perth, or Scotland, also known as Scotland, Porto and San Juan, Turin, Zwaikija, and many other places. He is said to have died between the years of 31 and 36. John the Baptist was a contemporary of Christ who was known for being an evangelist and for the baptizing of Jesus Christ. John the Baptist was born through the intercession of God to Zachariah and Elizabeth, who was otherwise too old to bear children, as I just mentioned. According to the scriptures, the angel Gabriel visited Elizabeth and Zachariah to tell them that they would have a son and that they should name him John. Zechariah was skeptical, and for this he was rendered mute until the time that his son was born and named John. So he could not speak. And this was done in fulfillment of God's will. I used to joke and say that my dad was rendered mute, and that was why I didn't have a name until St. John the Baptist feast day. When Elizabeth was pregnant with John, she was visited by Mary, and John leapt into her womb. This revealed to Elizabeth that the child Mary carried was to be the Son of God. John began public ministry at around the year 30 AD and was known for attracting large crowds across the province of Judea and around the Jordan River. When Jesus came to him to be baptized, John recognized him and said, quote, "It is I who need baptism from you," end quote. Jesus told John to baptize him anyway, which he did, whereupon the heavens opened and the Spirit of God was seen like a dove. The voice of God spoke, saying, quote, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased," end quote. John instructed his followers to turn to Christ, calling him the, quote, "Lamb of God," end quote. And these people were among the first Christians. Following his baptism, or following the baptism of Christ, John's popularity grew so much that he alarmed King Herod. Herod ordered him arrested and imprisoned. John spoke with Herod on several occasions and condemned his marriage to his half-brother's wife. This condemnation would be his downfall, as King Herod promised to grant a wish to his daughter in revenge for John the Baptist's condemnation of her mother's scandalous marriage to Herod. She asked for John's head. She asked for it on a platter, like a silver platter. So where that expression comes from, "I want their head on a platter," is from this. King Herod reluctantly obliged. So it says he didn't want to, but he still had him beheaded. You know, you're the king. You could not do it if you don't want to. John the Baptist died at some time between the year 33 and the year 36 AD. John the Baptist's feast day is June 24th, and the anniversary of his death is August 29th. And that's my sister's birthday and Michael Jackson's birthday. And this is sometimes celebrated with the second feast of John the Baptist. John the Baptist is also the patron saint, as I mentioned before, of Jordan, Puerto Rico, French Canada, and many other places. On the Hebrew calendar, there was nothing. On the Muslim calendar, there was nothing. But then again, adjacent to Islam is the 5% Nation, and for them, it is the anniversary of the death of Clarence 13X. On the planetary calendar, beginning tomorrow, June 14th, or Flag Day in the United States at 6:01 p.m., we do have Saturn being square to Uranus. So both Saturn and Uranus will be at 13 degrees, respectively. Saturn 13 degrees Aquarius and Uranus 13 degrees Taurus. On June 17th at 11:54 p.m., we'll experience the first quarter moon, 27 degrees Virgo. And that's it on the planetary calendar for this week, with some other major occurrences happening next Sunday, June 20th, at 11:05 a.m. Jupiter will go retrograde, 2 degrees Pisces. At 11:32 p.m., the sun enters the sign of Cancer, 0 degrees Cancer. So that's at night. Like I said, the last day of Gemini is the 21st. Also, Isis, I think I will include her in the love reading instead of going over it here, and because today is a day where we also celebrate Isis, at least on this channel. That's probably why she's been coming up the past couple weeks, and why I was made to talk about her and Lilith, or in her case Lilith too, and Mary, and all of that last week. So I will be back with the love reading, and we'll talk more about her, or we'll include her in some way. Again, please do like, share, subscribe, and comment. I do appreciate it. And maybe one day we will break through the algorithm. Namaste.